Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to review the latest episode of Stargirl. It was called The Betrayal. And as it begins, we see Cindy packing all of her things up from the lab where Starman wrecked the picture. And as she's doing so, we see that her eyes can go back and forth from human eyes to like reptile eyes, which was freaky. Rick starts lifting a crazy amount of weight at some type of gym while wearing the hourglass, and he just keeps adding to it and adding to it, and is still able to do it after the hour goes by. So he took off the limiter, and the power to be strong now seems to be endless rather than limited to an hour. It would seem that he was being watched the whole time that he was doing this remotely by someone who's doing some kind of puzzle. Yolanda goes to confession at church about what she did, breaking into Cindy's house and stealing the computer. And the priest tells her that there's no justification, even though she says that it was to catch the person who's manipulating her friends. He tells her that she can be forgiven for what she did, but she said that what she really wants is forgiveness for what she's about to do. Courtney, meanwhile, tries to coach Cameron through some meditation as he tries to control his powers, and he's able to use them to create a life-size ice sculpture of his dad. It's a really cool scene, actually. Mike and his friend are preparing to approach Cindy with flowers and goodies in order to get her to team with them and tell them what she knows, but it doesn't work as she declines. Pat and Barbara visit Cameron's grandparents to try to get a read on them and to see what, if anything, they're up to, under the guise of wanting to tell them how glad they are that Cameron and Courtney are spending time together, and wind up being discovered by Cameron and Courtney. Mike and his friends approach Zeke in the diner and ask his advice on how to get Cindy to listen to them. Back with Pat, Barbara, and the grandparents, the grandfather has to talk the grandmother down before she blows a gasket because it would seem she doesn't like the fact that Courtney and Cameron are hanging out a lot. Beth explains to her parents yet again that she needs them to back off so that they don't get hurt, which of course disappoints them. Yolanda shows up at Beth's house to retrieve the laptop so that she can return it to Cindy before Cindy knows it's been missing, now that Beth has downloaded everything off of it and is about to decrypt it. Cameron delivers flowers to Courtney at home with the card that says, "Thank you for giving me hope." Cindy then discovers Yolanda returning the laptop and again says she didn't kill the gambler and that she can explain why she's been keeping things from everyone. But Yolanda doesn't want to hear it and proceeds to start kicking her ass, so they fight and Cindy gets tossed from a window. Beth ends up seeing this fight go down as she's decrypting the stuff that she downloaded from the laptop when a camera feed opens up in a window on her computer. She then puts out a call, and Our Man shows up on the scene, dropping a van in the middle of the fight. And as the tussle continues, Cindy's jacket rips and her scales are revealed. Stargirl then shows up and lands with a giant blast of the staff and gets in between everyone and asks Cindy to just talk to them, which Cindy kind of does, explaining that she started changing as soon as she got back from the Shadowlands, and then she stole the laptop so she could locate her dad's labs and try to find a cure. Stargirl offers to help her, saying that if she'd only been honest with them, things could have been different, and Cindy reveals to Our Man and Wildcat that Stargirl hasn't been honest, that she's been helping Cameron develop his powers, which they didn't know and which they don't like, before telling Courtney that Cameron's going to come for her when he finds out what she did to her dad, and she also says she hopes that he wins. When the team regroups and includes Beth in a meeting, they read Courtney the riot act because they feel like she turned her back on them to side with someone who is a threat. And Courtney steps aside so that Starman can lead the GSA, as he kind of has been while she's been hanging out with Cameron. Starman then visits Courtney and tells her that she needs to give herself a break because it can be difficult to lead a sort of double life where the lines blur and you're, not sure if you're Courtney or Stargirl or both or what. He then tells her about how his sister was in love with Brainwave and how she thought that people could change, which Brainwave apparently did for a while until Icicle convinced him to be evil again. He also tells her that he's with her if she thinks Cameron is a good kid because he trusts her gut more than anything, but that she needs to not try to do everything herself. He also says he'll talk to the other kids and that they'll all get through it together. Beth shows up at Courtney's house and demonstrates that the gambler had access to all these live feeds and that he was watching everybody. Cindy, Courtney, the garage, everything. Before the episode ends, we see that the puzzle that's being built is of a skull. And I'm thinking that they're finally going to bring in the guy from the end of season 2, the skull guy, whose name I forget. I'll have to look it up, because up to this point they haven't showed him at all. Is he behind what happened to the gambler and the attack on Starman, or is that a separate thing and he's just doing a different thing altogether? What's going on there? So there are a number of episodes left this season, so we'll have to see. I liked this episode. The fights were excellent, or the one fight, I should say, was an excellent fight scene. It was very well done. And, I think this show has a lot of heart. I think Breck Bassinger is great as Stargirl. She's a very good at acting, and I just feel for her, because she's a good kid and she just wants everybody to be okay. And she's earnest and she's vulnerable, and I think she's very likable. I think Pat is a great character. Starman can be cool. He can be very sageous and kind and helpful when he's not losing his shit. So in this episode, I thought he was good. He didn't lose his shit at all. So that was good. I really like the Cindy character, even though she's a little bit duplicitous. I think she's a good person also. She just doesn't always listen to her better angels. She kind of does not so nice things. And I continue to hope that they're not going to let her go back to being evil, that they are, in fact, going to bring her all the way over to the good side where everybody trusts her and she doesn't do, not so nice things anymore. I really want to see that, because I really think she's a good person, and I want to see her be her best self, because I really like the character. I really hope that Cameron is able to be a fully realized hero, or at least someone who doesn't, struggle with controlling his powers anymore. I hope they're able to bring him, all the way through that situation by the end of the season. And I hope that he and Courtney are able to continue, getting close and developing a little romance there. I think it's good for both of them. So yeah, that's really it. This, like I said, was a good episode, and I'll be back to review the next one once it airs. I'm going to take off for now. Before I do, I want to remind everyone that I have a Teespring store. You can get merchandise there, t-shirts and whatnot, with the channel logo on them and other designs. Anything you get, of course, helps support the channel, and the link is in the description. If you would, please give the video a like. It really helps. And hey, make a comment. I'd love to know what you think of the show, of the episodes. I'd love to know what you think of what I think. And, I should be able to get back to you, because I don't have that many comments regularly. So I should be able to answer you, and it's a fun conversation. But yeah, that's it. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.